Hi, everyone. This is Ucheonye Maple. Welcome to the Women Who Lead Network, where we talk about everything leadership, entrepreneurship, and living a purpose driven life. Now, let's get into it. I mean, with everything that is happening in the world today, what does that look like for workplace culture? What are people, I mean, how are you behaving in the workplace? What's happening right now? I can only imagine that it seems like there may be a lot of tension. A lot of people don't feel listened to or heard. They feel like their voice is going on um, deaf ears. I was reading a report by that came out from. Let me find this report. That came out from MTran. It's their 2026 state of a workplace report where they're talking about, is your workplace culture ready for 2026? And they're talking about four trends that will derail or determine success. And the reason why this caught my eye was simply because workplace culture in itself has been something that has been there for decades, right? People have always talked about workplace culture. We're always talking about how it determines, people are asking questions during the interview, like, well, what's your culture like? Give me a day in the life of, or give me a day in the life of in the role that you're doing. How many people are in your organization? How long does it take to reach from individual contributor to a manager to a director to a vice president? Just how many layers? And I'm saying this because coming from an engineering perspective, where I spent almost 20 plus careers in my industry, the, depending on the company that you go for, it may be a company that is built on moving up the corporate ladder. It may be a company that's built on mission driven success or technical success. And to be honest, you have to know what type of workplace that is for you. So we're talking to leaders, what are you doing to make sure your workplace culture is ready? And here's some of the things that they were mentioning and what they were talking about in this area. So if you think about it just right now, right? Maybe conversations at your job feel a little bit uneasy. I don't know how you can separate the two. So even though they tell you to do it, it's difficult to do it. But let's just say for some reason you've been able to manage to separate what is happening from the outside inside. But you know that it feels different to speak up these days because you don't know who you may offend. Um, and it's difficult trying to get some ideas out, especially if workplace culture may or may not be tied in politicals and social view. Now they're saying that it is on the rise. And what they're saying is that we are living through something right now that's called an empathy recession. Woof. An empathy recession. And here's what that really means. It means that people are becoming less curious about each other's perspective. It means that we're quicker to judge, slower to listen. And when that happens, trust breaks down, collaboration suffers, and innovation stalls. When empathy leaves the room, creativity leaves right behind it. Empathy is simply just being able to look at from someone else's perspective. You don't have to agree with them, but you at least need to be considerate enough to listen to what they're trying to say, right? And to understand where they're coming from. I always heard this. I don't know if it was John Maxwell that said this, is that are you listening to listen? Are you listening to respond? And if we're just listening to what people are listening to respond, then we're not paying attention to what they're saying. Because when I'm talking to leaders of people, sometimes they feel like it's just hard to get teams engaged like they used to. Now, this has been going on, period. Let me say this, right? Before the pandemic, this has been an issue, and that has been culture. Post the pandemic, people was trying to stay engaged, but it was just so much happening. And right now, with everything going on, they're like, yo, it's we're trying to get people engaged and it's difficult. Well, that sometimes could be that people feel unheard or unsafe. And when they feel like that, they'll pull back. They will protect themselves to prevent from getting hurt. And once you lose that psychological safety, the freedom to be open and honest, it falls apart. And politics has always been in our culture. So it's not that it's destroying the culture. The reality is how to respond to each other when we disagree with it. So let me say this. Empathy is not a soft skill anymore. It is a powerful skill, especially as a leader. I have worked for some amazing leaders, and I have worked for some leaders that were not so amazing. And the ones who were amazing are the ones who were able to listen. And what I like about it is that when they were listening, they were not defensive, but they were able to offer me a different perspective and viewpoint when we didn't agree. And that viewpoint is usually, Uche, this is where we're headed. This is where we see ourselves. So your perspective, Uche, may be that what you're saying is not wrong. It's just not where we're headed. And the best space for leaders right now are the ones that can hold space for multiple truths, who can lead through tension without letting it divide a team. And all this looks like is you modeling respect in your conversation. You're not throwing a shoe across the room. You're not hitting on the table. You're not being frustrated. You're not calling people out. It's being curious about perspectives that challenge you and creating space for others to speak, especially the quieter voices. When leaders are able to show empathy, teams follow suit. I remember when I was working at a company, I never forget this. I had never seen this before. And we were in a meeting. It was like 5:00. And my lead was leaving the meeting. And it was like, oh, where are you going? He said, oh, I got to go catch my kids' game. And everyone was like, oh, okay, I respect that. And I was looking at him like, you can leave and go to your kids' game? Because I had never seen that before. It was if we're here till 5 and 6, you better make sure you're here as well. And that changed my perspective on what it means to lead people, what it means to be a leader, what it means to demonstrate. And it also showed me what they prioritize. If you want to have trust in your workplace, start small. Just ask questions before making judgments, if you really want to know the answer. Listen with intent to understand, not respond. And that's how you're able to build connection, one conversation at a time. I have seen this real time. I was working for a phenomenal director. And when he first came to the company, he just started introducing himself to people in the hallway, and he listened. That's how he was able to find out what was really happening in the company, is by just talking to people off the cuff. It wasn't having a meeting, just talking to people in the hallway. Hey, I'm the new director, blah, blah, blah. So tell me, what do you do? Well, how's that going? What are some of the things that you see, the challenges? And you'd be surprised how people open up because they're not guarded. Restoring empathy and trust in your organization is probably going to be one of the most essential things that you can do in today's environment. Stop avoiding the hard conversations and start leading them through it. Follow me for more tips on workplace culture and workplace environment and leadership. Be sure to like and subscribe. Bye.